The quiet breakdown on a armas was used to smiling for the world. The cameras always caught her best angle. The lights always found her when she walked into a room. People clapped before she even said a word. But when she sat alone in her apartment, at night, none of that applause reached her. The walls didn't care how beautiful she looked on screen. The silence didn't flatter her. It stared back, waiting for her to break. It had been 3 months since her father passed away. He had been her quiet rock, the one who never said much but always called. He didn't understand her world, but he cared. Now his voice was gone. And the silence that replaced it was heavy. Anna kept filming. She kept going to interviews. She smiled when they asked her about new roles. But behind the smile, there was something fraying, something unraveling slowly. No one noticed until Keanu. Diddy was quiet too. Not the kind of quiet that fills a room with tension. It's more like the kind of quiet that made people feel safe. He didn't speak much on set unless he had to. But when he looked at someone, he really saw them. And one day, he saw Anna. It was a Thursday afternoon, and the crew had broken for lunch. Everyone scattered, talking and laughing. Anna sat alone under a shade tent, scrolling through her phone but not reading anything. Her thumb moved, but her eyes didn't. Keanu noticed from across the lot. He didn't say anything that day. He just watched her for a while, then walked away. The next morning, he brought 2 coffees. He didn't ask what she liked. He just handed her one with a small smile. "Figured you could use this," he said. Anna blinked. "How'd you know?" Shrugged. "I didn't. Just thought. Maybe." She looked at the cup. It was the exact blend her father used to make when she visited home. She hadn't tasted it since the funeral. Her fingers tightened around the cup, but she didn't speak. Keanu didn't ask, just sat down beside her. Not too close, not far. It's just enough to say, "You're not alone." It became a quiet pattern. No grand gestures, no deep talks, just small things. Shared coffee, a walk across the lot, a moment where she didn't have to smile. A moment where she could just be. People started whispering, but neither of them paid attention. Anna wasn't looking for a savior. She didn't need someone to fix her. But something about Keanu's presence helped her breathe again. Then one day she didn't show up. Keanu waited near the trailers like he always did. The crew called her phone. No answer. The director was getting nervous. Makeup and wardrobe stood waiting. She said she was coming, someone said. Left her house an hour ago. Keanu didn't speak, just walked away. He drove straight. To her place? No one asked him to. No one told him to. He just knew something wasn't right. When he reached her apartment, the door was unlocked. Inside, Anna sat on the kitchen floor. Her eyes were red. The coffee pot was shattered beside her, and her hand had a small cut. She wasn't crying anymore. She was just blank. Keanu didn't ask what happened. He didn't demand an explanation. He walked in, grabbed a towel, and gently pressed it against her hand. "Why are you here?" she whispered. He looked at her, and for a moment, his eyes said more than any words could, "Because you didn't ask." He said softly. She closed her eyes, for the first time in weeks. She let herself fall forward, not in despair, not in drama, just into his arms. It's like someone who had been holding a weight too long and finally let go. Keanu held her, not tightly, not like a lover, more like someone holding space for another person's pain, someone strong, enough to not need answers, someone who just stayed. They didn't speak much that day, but the silence wasn't empty anymore. Anna felt something shift. Maybe. Healing didn't start with big words or bright lights. Maybe it started with a cup of coffee, and someone who showed up when no one else did. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough to begin again. The weight she carried Anna didn't talk about that day. Not to the director, not to her assistant, not even to herself. She didn't replay it in her head, didn't ask why Keanu showed up or how he knew. It was like a secret she buried under the rest of her life. But secrets like that don't stay buried. They live quietly in the spaces between your breaths. They follow you when the room is empty. They remind you that someone saw you when you were most human. The next morning, she returned to set. Her face was perfect, her hair flawless. The kind of look people pay a team to build. But something had changed in her eyes. She looked tired in a different way, not from lack of sleep, from too much pretending. Keanu didn't ask if she was okay. He just nodded when she walked past. Their routine resumed: coffee, silence, walking side by side between trailers, but now it felt heavier, like something had passed between them that could not be undone. People noticed. One of the producers asked Anna's assistant if something was going on. A makeup artist whispered that Keanu had been to her place. Anna heard the whispers but said nothing. She didn't have energy for gossip. She barely had energy for the script in front of her. On set, she missed a line, then another. The director was patient, but tension started to rise. They were behind schedule, and tension on movie sets grows fast. "Take 5, the director said gently. Anna walked off to the corner of the soundstage and sat down on a crate. She didn't cry. She just stared at the floor, hands folded, as if trying to keep herself from shaking. Keanu followed after a minute. He didn't sit beside her this time. He stood nearby, just enough to give her space, but close enough that she didn't feel alone. "What do you do?" Anna asked softly. "When the pressure feels bigger than your skin?" Keanu thought for a moment. Then he said, "I breathe slower. And I remember the pressure isn't the whole story." Anna turned to him. "It feels like it is." "I know," he said, "but it's not." She nodded slowly, then asked, "How do you know when someone's about to fall apart?" He shrugged. "I don't. I just stay close in case they do." Anna smiled barely, but it was the first real smile in days. Later that evening, the director pulled Keanu aside. "I don't want to pry," he began carefully. "But is she okay?" Keanu was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "She's carrying more than she should alone." The director nodded. "Anything I can do?" Keanu looked toward Anna, who was walking slowly toward the parking lot, shoulders slightly hunched from the weight of invisible things. "Maybe just let her breathe. Don't push the scene tomorrow. Let her find her pace." The director hesitated, then agreed. "If she doesn't find it, she will," Keanu said quietly. "She just needs someone to believe she can." That night, Anna sat on her couch with a cup of tea and scrolled through old voice messages. Her father's last one was still there. He'd been in the hospital, breath shallow, but his voice still had that calm strength. "You don't have to be strong all the time, Mia," he had said. "Even stars rest behind clouds sometimes." She listened to that message twice, then she pressed her forehead against her knees and cried. Not like before, not broken, just tired. The next morning she brought Keanu a coffee, I guessed. "Your blend," she said. He sipped it, paused, then nodded. "You guessed right." They sat on a bench near the edge of the studio lot, where the noise of set life faded into birdsong and distant traffic. Anna finally spoke. "I lost him 3 months ago," she said. Keanu didn't ask who. He knew. "I thought I could work through it, distract myself." "That works for a while," he said, "till it doesn't." "I didn't want to be the sad girl on set." "You're not," he replied. "You're someone trying." She looked at him, really looked. "Why do you care?" she asked. He didn't flinch. "Because someone once cared for me when I didn't know how to ask." And then she understood it. It wasn't about pity. It wasn't about attraction or rescue, or any of the things tabloids might write. It was about recognition. Two souls, shaped by grief, recognizing each other in the quiet. When they returned to set, Anna moved with steadier steps, not because everything was fixed, but because someone believed she could get there, and that belief was enough to try. The stories we don't tell days passed. The rhythm of the set returned. The camera rolled, lights buzzed, makeup brushes swept across cheeks, and dialogue filled the air. Anna smiled more now. Not all the time. Not for everyone. But once in a while, when Keanu said something in that low, thoughtful voice of his, her lips curved in a way that felt real, not rehearsed, not practiced, just real. Keanu never asked questions. He never pushed her to talk. And that was what made it easier. One evening, the two of them were waiting in the back lot. The crew had wrapped late. Everyone else had gone home. But Anna's car had a flat tire. Her driver was on another job, and she hadn't called anyone. Keanu found her leaning against the trailer, arms folded, staring at the quiet sky. "You stuck?" he asked gently. "Seems like it," she replied, then looked down. "Don't want to bother anyone." Keanu raised an eyebrow. "Good thing I don't count as anyone." Walked to her car, knelt beside the tire, and checked it. Pretty. "Flat," he said. I figured he didn't make a joke. Just popped the trunk, pulled out the spare, and got to work. Anna sat on the curb and watched him. The light from the lamppost above made everything look soft. It was quiet, like a scene from a dream that didn't rush to end. After a few minutes, she spoke. "He used to do this. My dad. Keanu looked over when I moved to the city. He'd drive down once a month just to check my car. He didn't trust mechanics." Keanu nodded but didn't speak. Kept tightening the bolts. "Slow. Careful," Anna continued, voice low. "He didn't understand acting. Said it was a strange job. But he watched every film, even the ones where I had 2 lines." Keanu smiled gently. He said I looked like my mother, but stronger. Said that scared him sometimes. Keanu stood up, wiped his hands on a cloth, and walked back to sit beside her. "What scares you?" she asked. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, being seen but not understood. Anna turned to him, too. They sat like that, 2 shadows on the curb under a golden lamp. No rush, no noise, just honesty blooming in silence. "You ever lose someone and forget how to smile?" Yes. Yes. "How did you get it back?" He looked at her. His voice was quiet. "I didn't try to get it back. I let it come when it was ready." Anna stared at her hands. "I'm scared mine won't come back." Keanu leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "Maybe it won't come back the same. Maybe it comes back different. Softer or smaller, but still real." She looked at him. "That sounds like something someone wise would say, or someone who's lived long enough to know what not to fight," he said with a half-dashed smile. The tire was fixed. The night was still. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Of course. Don't you talk much about yourself?" Keanu took a breath, because most people don't really want to listen. They want to fix or compare or rush you through it. Anna nodded slowly. "But I want to listen." He glanced at her, then looked away. "I lost someone once, someone I loved, and I kept living, but not always fully. Sometimes I just moved forward because standing still felt worse." Anna didn't respond. She didn't have to. Their stories were different, but the grief was the same. A thread that tied them quietly. "You don't have to be okay right away," he said. "You too," she whispered. They stayed there another 20 minutes, saying nothing. Just breathing the same air, sharing the same ache, letting the quiet be what it needed to be. When Anna finally stood to go, she hesitated. "Thank you," she said. Keanu looked up. "For what? For not fixing me?" He smiled. "You were never broken." As she drove away, she looked in the mirror and saw him. Still sitting on the curb, as a small figure in a quiet parking lot, and for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel alone on the road. Breaking the mascana had always been good at hiding. She was trained for Iton set, in interviews, on red carpets. The perfect smile, the graceful nod, the practiced pause before answering a question just the right way. People called her strong. People said she was glowing. They didn't see what happened when she got home and took off the makeup. The heels, the name everyone knew her by. Keanu saw it, though. Not all of it, but enough. And that scared her more than being alone. For days after the flat tire night, Anna kept a little distance. It's not because she didn't want Keanu around, but because his kindness was starting to touch something deeper. Part of her she had wrapped in silence for too long. Sometimes, kindness can be more frightening than cruelty, because it demands nothing, but sees everything. One afternoon, on set during a particularly heavy scene, Anna froze. Her line wouldn't come out. She stood in the middle of the studio, surrounded by lights, cameras, and quiet tension. The director waited, The crew waited. She just stood there, lost in the middle of a memory she hadn't expected to visit. Her on-screen character was supposed to say goodbye to her dying brother, but all Anna could think about was her father's last moment. When the nurse asked if she wanted to say anything before the machines turned off, and she had said nothing. Not because she didn't care, but because the grief had swallowed every word the director called cut. Anna turned and walked off set. No one stopped her. She went to her trailer and locked the door. Keanu watched her go, then followed quietly a few minutes later. He didn't knock right away. He just stood there, hand resting against the door, as if his presence could say what words, COULDN. Single quotes, T. inside. Anna sat on the floor, back against the wall, arms around her knees. She didn't cry. She was past crying. She was just full. Too full. A soft knock finally came. Keanu's voice was gentle. "I'm here if you want me." Silence. She didn't answer. He didn't leave. 5 minutes, then 10. Finally, the door opened. Anna looked tired, pale, but something in her eyes had softened. "I don't know how to do this anymore," she whispered Keanu. Didn't ask what this meant. He didn't need to. He stepped inside, sat on the floor across from her, and waited. "I keep thinking if I stay busy enough, it'll go away," she said. "It doesn't," he replied. "I feel like if I stop moving, it'll crush me." "Then we move slowly," he said. "But together." Anna looked at him, eyes glassy. "Why are you always here?" Keanu held her gaze, because I promised myself, if I ever saw someone drowning the way I once did, I wouldn't look away. Anna exhaled, shaky and raw. "What if I can't be who I was?" "Then you become someone new, someone softer, someone real." The silence between them wasn't uncomfortable anymore. It was healing. It was warm. Anna reached out and took his hand, not out of romance, but out of needing something to hold. Keanu didn't flinch. He just let her grip tighten. "I think people expect me to be strong all the time," she said. "They're wrong," he replied. "You're allowed to fall. That's not weakness. That's human." For the first time, Anna let herself say it. "Miss him." Keanu nodded. "I know." "I didn't get to say goodbye." "Neither did I." She blinked. "You lost your father." "My partner," Keanu said softly. "Long ago? Too young, too sudden?" Anna felt her throat tighten. Not with pity, but with understanding. "I'm sorry. I carry her with me," Keanu said. "Not like a wound anymore, more like a scar that reminds me I survived loving deeply." Anna closed her eyes. "I want to survive it too." "You will," he said, "not alone." Hours later, when they returned to set, something had changed. Anna still looked tired, still looked like someone walking through fog. But she stood straighter. She didn't flinch when the camera rolled. She delivered her scene with quiet power, no forced tears. No drama, just truth. The kind of truth only pain can carve. Into a person's voice, the director didn't say anything after the take. He didn't need to. Everyone felt it. As they packed up that day, Anna turned to Keanu. "Do you ever feel like the world only wants a piece of you, but never the whole?" He smiled gently. "All the time." "And what do you do?" "I keep the whole for the ones who see it." She looked at him, truly looked. And in that moment, she didn't feel like a star. She felt like a person again. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. When the dam break Sana stood in her kitchen one night, staring at the blinking light on her answering machine, she hadn't listened to voicemails in weeks. People had stopped calling as much. Not because they didn't care, but because grief made others uncomfortable. People don't know what to say, so they stop saying anything. But tonight, she pressed play. There were 4 messages. The first 3 were from work, 1 from her agent, 2 from publicists, polite, distant business. 4th was older. It was her dad's voice. "Mia, I know you're busy. I just wanted to say I'm proud of you. Not for the movies or the awards, just for being you. I love you. Call me when you can." Anna froze. She had heard it before, but tonight it hit different. Because tonight she finally let herself hear. The pain came suddenly, sharp, heavy, not gentle like a wave. More like a storm crashing through every part of her she had tried to hold together. She slid to the floor. Her body shook. She clutched her knees and let it out, the sobs, the guilt, the regret. The ache that had lived under her skin for months. She didn't know how long she cried. The world faded. Time didn't matter. It's only the feeling of breaking apart, piece by piece. And then, a knock, not loud, just soft. Steady, she wiped her face. Couldn't speak. Couldn't move. Another knock. Double quotes. Anna. Keanu's voice came through the door. Calm. Steady. I don't need you to open the door. I just want you to know I'm here. She covered her mouth, trying to breathe. The part of her that was used to being alone whispered, Don't answer. Don't show this side. It's too much. But the other part, the part that remembered his quiet presence. Gosh. His kind eyes, his steady hands reached forward. She unlocked the door. Keanu stepped inside and closed it gently behind him. He didn't ask what happened. He didn't comment on the tears. He just sat beside her on the kitchen floor. Anna leaned against him, and he put one arm around her shoulders. Light, respectful, protective. I listened to his voice, she whispered. I wasn't ready, and then it just broke me. Keanu nodded. Sometimes we have to break, to let it out. I've been holding it in for so long, I know, he said. But you don't have to anymore. They sat there in silence. Not empty silence, healing silence. After a while, she lifted her head. You've carried this too, haven't you? Keanu nodded slowly. How do you live with it? He looked at her, his eyes steady and honest. Stop pretending it doesn't hurt, and I let it shape me, not destroy me. Anna swallowed hard. I think I've been scared of being forgotten. Like if I stop working, people will move on. Some might, he said gently, but the ones who matter won't. You stayed. I will, he said, as long as you need. Anna looked down. I don't want to be someone who always needs saving. You're not, Keanu said. You're someone learning to feel again. It takes more strength than people know. That night, for the first time since her father passed, Anna slept deeply. Not because the pain was gone, but because she had finally let herself stop running from it the next morning. She woke up early, made coffee, stood by the window and watched. The sky turned orange. She thought of her father's voice, and then of Keanu's silence. She realized something powerful. Grief doesn't ask for permission. It comes, but healing. Healing waits for you to be ready. Doesn't force itself. It shows up gently, like Keanu. Later that day on set, she walked with more ease. She laughed once or twice, and the sound surprised even her. Didn't feel forced. Felt like it belonged. At lunch, she found Keanu sitting under a tree. She brought 2 coffees. You got the blend right again? He smiled. I'm getting good at this, she said. He tilted his head. How do you feel today? Not perfect, she replied, but honest. Keanu nodded. That's the best kind of feeling. They talked a little more, then sat quietly, watching a bird hop across the grass. You know, Anna said softly, I always thought I had to be strong in public, keep it together, be the example. And now I think, maybe strength is also letting someone sit with you when you fall apart. Keanu smiled. I've always believed that. She leaned back, letting the sunlight warm her face. Thank you, she said. He looked at her. For what? For not turning away. His answer was simple. You never looked away either. That evening, Anna wrote something in her journal. Just 7 words. I broke. I'm healing. I'm still here. And somehow, that felt like the beginning of a whole new chapter. The light returned slowly. Had been 2 months since Anna let herself fall apart in her kitchen. 2 months since she finally stopped pretending that everything was fine. 2 months since she started healing, not by force, not by distraction, but by simply allowing herself to feel. And Keanu? He was still there, not every second, not hovering, but always near when it mattered. His presence was like gravity, quiet, grounding. It's impossible to explain, but always felt. On a Wednesday morning, Anna sat in her car just outside the studio gates. Her fingers gripped the steering wheel. It wasn't nerves. It wasn't fear. It was something deeper. Today was the last day of filming and endings. No matter how small, have a way of bringing old feelings back to the surface. Keanu walked past, saw her sitting there and paused. He tapped gently on her window. "You coming in?" he asked with a soft smile. "I am," she nodded, just remembering everything. He leaned on the door, arms crossed. "You've come far. You helped me. You did the hard part." He said, "I just stayed close." She looked at him, eyes soft. Sometimes that's the hardest part. They walked into the studio together, like they always did. But something in Anna's steps felt different now, steadier, lighter. She wasn't the same woman who sat alone with silent tears months ago. She had changed not into someone new, but into someone more whole. The final scene was emotional. It was a quiet goodbye between her character and Keanu's. The script called for a simple exchange, no big drama, just two people parting ways. After everything they had been through, as the cameras rolled, Anna felt something unexpected rise in her chest. Not sadness, not fear, gratitude. Because somehow art and life had blurred. And in front of the camera, as she looked into Keanu's eyes, she wasn't just acting anymore. She was saying thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for staying. Thank you for not asking her to be anyone but herself. When the director called, cut, the set stayed quiet for a moment, then a soft round of applause began. It wasn't loud, it wasn't wild, but it was real. Anna smiled, really smiled. And for the first time, she believed it belonged to her. Later, after the wrap party, when most people had gone home, she found Keanu outside near the trailers, sipping tea under the night sky. She joined him, folding her arms against the cool breeze. So she said, "That's it." "The end," he nodded. "For the film, maybe. But not for me," she added. "No," he agreed. "Not for you." They stood in silence a while, watching the sky. The stars were faint, but enough to remind them that light was always there, even if far away. "Keanu," she said softly, "I need to tell you something. I'm listening when you showed up that first time. Wasn't sure I could handle it. I'd been alone for so long. I forgot what it felt like to let someone see me." "I understand," he said, "but you didn't leave. You didn't try to fix me, and you didn't make me explain everything." He turned to her. "You didn't need to explain. I saw it." "No," she said, voice catching slightly, "and I'm grateful." He reached out gently and touched her shoulder. "You don't owe me anything." "I know," she smiled, "but I want to say it anyway." Keanu's eyes were warm. "Then I'll say something too." "Okay." "You reminded me how important it is to stay open, even when we've lost, even when we're tired." Anna nodded. "So what now?" He looked at the sky. "Now we keep walking. Different paths, maybe, but we carry what we learned." "You think people will understand this?" she asked. "This kind of connection?" "Some will," he said. "Others won't. But it's not about them." Anna took a deep breath, looked up, and let the breeze brush her hair back. "I don't want to be who I was before." She was strong, but she was also afraid. "Then be who you are now," Keanu said. "She's even stronger." They smiled. At each other, no drama, no spotlight, no music swelling behind them. Just two people who shared something real, and that was enough. Weeks passed. Anna returned to work. A new project, a new role. But she did things differently now. She took breaks. She said no when she needed to. She stayed present, and sometimes when she felt the sadness creep back in, she didn't push it away. She sat with it. It remembered the man who sat beside her in silence and taught her that not every wound needs words. One morning, she got a message from Keanu, just a photo. It was of a quiet bench under a tree at the old studio lot, underneath. Just one line, still, "Here, anytime." Anna smiled, and in that moment, She knew she had survived, not alone, not silently, but surrounded by a quiet, gentle love that didn't demand anything except truth. And now she could give that to others. The light had returned not all at once, but slowly, bravely, just like she did.